Right now, the strangest event in recorded space history is unfolding just 6 million miles from Earth, and closing fast. That's less than 25 times the distance to the Moon, an unimaginable blink on the cosmic scale. For months, international space agencies had been loudly tracking the object they've named Project Echo, an interstellar anomaly unlike anything ever observed. There were daily briefings, live-streamed telescope feeds, expert Q&A sessions. And then, 3 weeks ago, everything stopped. The live streams went offline. The public dashboards froze. Official accounts began repeating the same cryptic phrase. No further information at this time. Behind that silence, a coordinated global mobilization has been set in motion. Military satellites have been retasked to track Echo's every move. Airspace restrictions have quietly appeared over major cities. Emergency response units have been staged in patterns eerily similar to nuclear war drills. Officials who normally thrive on public attention have vanished from the media. When an agency that loves publicity suddenly shuts its doors, it's not because there's nothing to report. It's because what they've found is too dangerous to share. In the weeks before the blackout, scientists were baffled. Echo had been moving on a hyperbolic path that should have carried it past Earth into deep space. Then its velocity began to bleed in ways that didn't match gravity or solar radiation. It was as if the object were applying controlled thrust, adjusting its trajectory with intent. Radio telescopes detected signals coming from it, at first faint, repeating mathematical sequences. Then, in a single night, the signal strength spiked 400-fold, powerful enough to disrupt GPS and cell networks across Europe and North America. Amateur astronomers captured photos of what looked like structured lights on its surface, geometric grids glowing in patterns too regular to be natural, before their accounts were scrubbed or suspended. A senior researcher at the European Southern Observatory described the last hours before the blackout. We were set to release a new batch of data. 30 minutes before the briefing, we got an encrypted call from headquarters. Cancel everything, shut down all external channels, and treat all new observations as classified. Within hours, not just NASA, but ESA, Roscosmos, JAXA, and even private observatories stopped publishing. Space agencies that normally compete for prestige went completely silent in lockstep. That kind of coordination has only 3 known triggers: imminent collision, detection of hostile military tech, or confirmation of non-human intelligence. Public budget filings show emergency funding requests from multiple governments, hidden under obscure line items. Analysts estimate the sums run into tens of billions of dollars, untraceable, unrestricted, and clearly rushed. Even more disturbing, radar images leaked from an Australian observatory show Echo ejecting smaller objects, each one taking up precise positions in a formation around the main body. A communications engineer who studied the pattern said bluntly, "This is a relay network. You build this if you're creating a distributed sensor grid." Thermal scans reveal concentrated heat signatures at multiple points, possible engines or power cores activating in preparation. A rotating section appears to generate Earth-level gravity. Natural objects don't do that. Designed habitats do. One of the final decoded transmissions from Echo contained pixelated patterns resembling maps, not of our night sky, but of stellar positions from a vantage point far from Earth. Another appeared to depict our planet itself, continents outlined, oceans shimmering, and even hints of city lights. Something is mapping us and sending that information elsewhere. Governments are preparing for everything, from first contact to mass evacuation. Emergency UN Security Council meetings have been held under sealed protocols. National guards across dozens of countries are on exercise alerts that match contingency plans for civil unrest and infrastructure collapse. Psychological teams have been tasked with gaming public reactions if the truth leaks. Some military planners worry Echo is a reconnaissance platform. Others whisper it might be a refugee ark. Either possibility upends our understanding of the universe. Then came the leaks. In the past 10 days, multiple anonymous insiders, some claiming to be defense contractors, others mid-level analysts, have been feeding encrypted messages to independent journalists. These leaks suggest that Echo's smaller objects are not just relays, they're actively scanning Earth's electromagnetic emissions. Intercepted data shows the nodes triangulating radio, microwave, and even undersea cable signatures. It's like watching someone sweep a flashlight across a dark room, one intelligence source wrote. They're measuring everything: our frequencies, our traffic, our infrastructure. Amateur astronomers outside government control have also noticed changes. Echo's trajectory no longer resembles a single approach. It's executing what astronomers describe as spiral ingress maneuvers, gradually decreasing its distance from Earth while maintaining precise geometric relationships to the planet's rotation and magnetic field. "This isn't a rock," said one university astronomer operating independently. "This is a vehicle following a flight plan." Signals from Echo have also evolved. Instead of simple mathematics, the latest bursts appear to contain image data and possibly audio waveforms. Early decoding attempts produced shapes resembling human DNA's double helix, and a second pattern unknown to terrestrial biology. Another produced what might be blueprints or schematics, complex interlocking shapes that repeat at fractal scales. "We're looking at something like instructions or a language," a cryptographer explained. "But we don't know if it's directed at us, at its own systems, or at something else entirely." Inside the Pentagon, sources describe a growing divide. Some factions argue for immediate communication attempts, sending radio pulses and high-power laser messages directly toward Echo. Others insist on total silence, fearing that any active signal could be interpreted as hostile or reveal vulnerabilities. Similar debates are reportedly raging in Moscow, Beijing, and Brussels. Meanwhile, at least 3 major powers have quietly moved anti-satellite weapons into readiness positions, ostensibly for testing, but analysts say the timing is no coincidence. Civil defense agencies are also moving. FEMA has quietly staged water, medical supplies, and portable communications networks in grid patterns across the U.S. The UK and Germany have activated continuity of government sites last used in the Cold War. Underground bunkers in Switzerland, Canada, and Australia are seeing increased staffing levels. Flight trackers have noticed a surge of unmarked cargo planes landing at remote military airstrips. But the strangest development yet happened just 48 hours ago. An amateur astronomer in Argentina captured high-resolution video of Echo's main body splitting open like an iris, revealing a dark interior ringed with glowing structures. The opening remained visible for 9 minutes before closing. The footage spread rapidly through encrypted forums before being scrubbed from public platforms. Government agencies requested takedowns, citing national security. "It looked like a docking bay," the observer wrote in his last public post before his account was suspended. Something inside was moving. More decoded transmissions add to the mystery. A European lab claims to have extracted a faint audio signal buried within the radio noise, a repeating tone followed by a pattern resembling a human heartbeat at 1/3 normal speed. "Either it's mimicking us," a neuroscientist speculated, "or we're listening to something alive." The timeline is closing. Latest projections show Echo will decelerate to a relative stop approximately 450,000 miles from Earth, just outside the range of most defensive weapons, but close enough for direct observation. This distance also places it in an ideal position to deploy something into Earth orbit if it chooses. Military analysts call the geometry a textbook reconnaissance perch. Inside government circles, the working name for contingency planning has shifted from observation to arrival. That single word change has leaked through 2 different sources. "It's not just passing by," one wrote. "We're treating this as an arrival event." Behind closed doors, psychological operations units are wargaming public disclosure. What do you say when an interstellar vehicle is parked overhead? How do you prevent panic in markets, mass migrations, religious crises? How do you maintain order if millions of people believe the apocalypse, or salvation, is at hand? Some scenarios even include a global internet blackout to control information flow. We're more worried about ourselves than about them, a former intelligence analyst admitted. Human behavior under existential threat is unpredictable. As Echo approaches, its broadcasts have shifted again, from continuous transmission to short, powerful bursts, then silence. Military communications experts recognize the pattern as standard practice before major operations. Confirm readiness, exchange final instructions, then go dark. At the same time, the smaller objects around it have repositioned into a symmetrical grid aligned with Earth's poles and equator, as though establishing a planetary net. Thermal imagery now shows distinct hotspots forming on Echo's surface, spaced like engines or emitters. The rotation rate of its central section has slowed fractionally, suggesting internal reconfiguration. "We're watching it prepare for something," a defense analyst said. "We just don't know what." And yet, despite the secrecy, a few scientists are breaking ranks quietly. A Harvard astrophysicist posted an anonymous note to a secure forum. "This is not a drill, this is not natural, and this is not random. We're witnessing the most significant moment in human history, and the public has no idea." 3 weeks from now, the question will be answered. Either Project Echo will drift past harmlessly and vanish into deep space, or it will remain, and whatever it represents will reveal itself. The silence from NASA and every other space agency is not an absence of news. It is the loudest signal of all. If Echo were nothing, they'd tell us. The fact they've gone dark means the calculus has changed. Whether it's a threat, a plea for help, or something beyond comprehension, the countdown has already begun. Independent journalists are already noticing strange activity on the ground. In coastal cities, shipping lanes have been rerouted with no explanation. Flight tracking data shows military transports flying in unusual loops, as though ferrying supplies to temporary staging grounds. Entire blocks of satellite imagery on Google Earth are suddenly blurred, replaced with generic ocean textures. Even in the digital age, that kind of censorship doesn't happen unless something critical needs hiding. And then there are the whistleblowers. On encrypted forums, anonymous posters claiming to work at ground stations describe ghost pings, signals bouncing off Echo and returning with data packets formatted like Earth-based transmissions. To put it simply, the object isn't just sending signals, it's mimicking ours. Imagine a probe that can copy our radio fingerprints, inject itself into secure networks, and listen unnoticed. If true, that means while governments scramble to study Echo, Echo might already be studying us at a depth we can't even detect. One leak from inside a NATO briefing allegedly warned of systematic infiltration of orbital defense networks. Translation: satellites are being hacked, not by a rival nation, but by something orbiting inside Echo's perimeter. Engineers monitoring the breaches claim the signatures don't match human coding styles. They're cleaner, more elegant, like mathematics sculpted into language. Whoever built this system isn't improvising. They've been doing it far longer than we've existed. Meanwhile, astronomers tracking the smaller objects orbiting Echo have noticed something disturbing. Their orbits aren't random debris fields. They align into symmetrical hexagonal grids, a formation eerily similar to antenna arrays used on Earth for deep space radar. One array is now locked on Earth itself, sweeping across our atmosphere with precision timing. Every 91 minutes, like clockwork, a beam passes through our communication satellites, our power grids, and even civilian aircraft systems. Pilots have quietly reported navigation malfunctions during those windows, only to be told by officials that it was solar activity. The problem? The sun wasn't active on those days. Thermal readings also show another unsettling change, a spike in energy output consistent with weapons calibration. Defense insiders whisper about directed energy discharges, flashes so brief and concentrated they would barely be noticed, unless you were the target. 2 low-orbit satellites have already gone dark under mysterious circumstances. No debris, no impact, just silence. Officially, they suffered technical malfunctions. Unofficially, the timing matches perfectly with Echo's orbital sweeps. And yet, despite mounting evidence, no government has publicly declared Echo hostile. Why? Because admitting hostility means acknowledging intelligence. And acknowledging intelligence means facing the most destabilizing revelation in human history. We are not alone, and they know we're here. Even more chilling is the behavior of global leaders. In the last 10 days, an unprecedented number of heads of state have canceled public appearances. Emergency bunkers once considered Cold War relics are being quietly reactivated. A leaked flight log shows underground facilities like Cheyenne Mountain and Mount Yamantau receiving sudden shipments of medical gear, food rations, and classified electronics. If leaders are hiding, what are they hiding from? There's also growing speculation that the silence is less about preventing panic and more about buying time. Time to decide whether humanity's first contact is going to be a handshake or a trigger pull. Some military analysts argue Echo's grid could be a defensive perimeter, not an offensive one. Others counter that it looks exactly like the kind of setup you'd deploy before launching a large-scale incursion. The truth is, nobody knows, and the blackout ensures that ordinary people, the ones most at risk, are left in the dark. In the past, civilizations have been transformed by the discovery of new continents, new technologies, new ways of thinking. But never before have we faced a discovery that could erase us before we even understand it. With less than 3 weeks before Echo completes its closest approach, every unanswered question grows heavier. What does it want? Why did it change trajectory? Why now, in our lifetime, after billions of years of silence? NASA won't say. The UN won't say. And maybe that's the answer. Whatever Echo is, whatever it's doing, we were never supposed to know, until it was already too late.